सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा वसुदेवं सुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं हरि ओम. Yes. Can someone recollect what is it that we have seen last? Yes, anybody? We can form the link and then proceed. Yes, please. Yes. Yes. Can someone recollect anything? Because we have to form the link to move ahead. Yes, please. Anybody can recollect something that we have seen? It's like the password, like you enter the password for entering into the Zoom. So we have to start our session. We have to form the link. Yes, please. Anybody? Any point. It doesn't have to be the entire summary also. Something you can recollect from. Yes, please.
Hello.
Yes, namaste, Chaitanya ji.
Namaste. Sorry, I'm late today.
Welcome. No, that's fine. I am only late today. Please go on. Yeah.
Yeah, I think last time we started when Shri Krishna was saying that you need to choose your guru very wisely. It's not about maybe you choosing your guru. If you if the if you if the what to say if you have that will to get the knowledge, then maybe probably guru only will find you. But yeah, if when you are placing your shraddha, you have to be careful to place it in the right person in the right place. Then he also said that Sanatan gives you ability. I mean, allows you to ask questions. It is not that you can't ask questions, but they have to be from seeker's perspective and not for just for asking a question or with the wrong attitude. Then, in case suppose you don't get the guru, then you can place your trust in the divine. Shri Krishna is guru for everyone, so you can put your faith, shraddha, everything in him, and start for following what is being told here, and you will still see the way. I think it was also about Guru removing the darkness and everything from our swabhava, and I mean it. He helps us to go ahead to closer towards the divine. Then we talked about the fire of knowledge, which burns all the darkness and the Karmabandhanas. And once we are conscious, I mean, there are no new sanskaras, I think, that get created even if you do the karmas. So that was also a part we saw. Then we had seen about Shraddha. So Shraddha, why it is important, because it kind of creates a ground for divine to work through you, and that's why it is very important. And once you achieve that consciousness, I think what Shri Krishna was saying, that all the doubts and everything will disappear. It was specific to Arjuna because he was still having I mean, he was still having doubts about what was being told to him. So yeah, that was one part, and that is where I think Arjuna had asked that one side you're asking me to get free of all the karma bandhanas, and on the other side you're telling me to complete my karmas, fighting to fight a war. So he had posed a question, what exactly it is that I need to do.
Yes. Yes, Chaitanya. Beautiful summary. Hari Om.
Hari
Were you
Om ji,
adding
thank you.
something?
No, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Thank
All
you.
right. Hi. Thank you. Thank you, Chaitanya. So here Krishna has talked about the power of knowledge. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram na vidyate. There's nothing greater than knowledge or wisdom or realization, because it can transform. Valya the hunter or Ratnakar can become Maharshi Valmiki by that transformation. And that there is a hope and scope for everybody to receive the knowledge. There is nobody who is incapable of receiving knowledge, but there is a ground that is required. One of the ways is to receive through the Guru. And Krishna says in the Gita, Tad vidhi pranipatena. Means by service to your Guru, you will receive that knowledge. And pariprashnena sevaya means you are allowed to question, but there should also be what we can say service also, service bhava. That is why even, the avatar, Krishna himself went to Sandipani ashram. He went to the Rishi and there he had to serve him. And that is how he received. And Krishna is always what we say by example, isn't it? He leads by example, and that is why we understand. And one important aspect of Shraddha is described, and Shraddhavan labhate jnanam, meaning it is Shraddha that is creating the ground for receiving the knowledge. Shraddha creates knowledge, or creates the ground for reception also. That was one more thing that we saw. So then when Krishna completed, he said, Arjuna, in the last adhyaya, the fourth adhyaya, he asked Arjuna to rise up, tasmat, we can say, jnana sambhutam, hridstam, jnana sinatmanaha, because this knowledge is what will liberate you from ignorance. This is what has to be sought. It is knowledge. Knowledge is something that will destroy doubts. So rise above your doubts is what Krishna is telling. With the saber of knowledge, Krishna says, attain the union. Uttishta Bharata. But our Bharata is not yet Uttishta, not yet awakened, because he has a doubt. And he begins with the fifth adhyaya starts with the question. Krishna is asked by Arjuna. Arjuna Uvacha. Sanyasam karmanam Krishna punaryogam cha shansasi yat shreya etayorekam tanme bruhi sunischitam. So tell me with clarity is what he is asking, because he feels Krishna is still not clear. He's talking about two opposites. He says, one side you are talking about surrendering to the divine, renouncing everything to the divine. And another side you are asking me to do works, do karmas in the way of karma yoga, conscious. How is it possible? Either I do or I don't do. What is this that you are asking me is what he asks. Tell me and tell me in one clear word. Tell me the way, what he asks. And Sri Krishna responds. One of the beautiful aspects of the Gita is Arjuna keeps asking questions. Sometimes the questions appear similar also. Sometimes the questions, the same question of what is sannyasa, what is the real meaning. We will see even in the 18th adhyaya. But every time this question is asked and the answer is different and it has an altogether different meaning as well. Let us see. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Sanyasah Karma Yogascha Nishreya Sakarabhau Tayos Karma Sanyasat Karma Yogo Vishishyate. But Krishna replied, the path of divine action and the way of renunciation, both these two lead to the ultimate liberation. But amongst all paths, if one were to choose the best, the way of divine union in activities is superior to the rest. So Krishna is saying both these paths, the path of renunciation also takes you in Adhyatma. A lot of people renounce a lot of things with sincerity. So their path is not a wasted path. That path also takes them towards a higher realization. But Krishna says even divine action, meaning actions performed consciously, surrendered to the divine, they also lead. And if I were to choose which is the best, Krishna says the way of divine union in activities is superior to the rest. Meaning, Krishna is saying you don't have to be the monk who sells his Ferrari. when you can be a monk in the Ferrari, with all the world, in what we can say the material world also, you can experience the divinity, is what Krishna is talking about. He goes on further. He says, Nyeyaha sa nitya sannyasi yo na dveshti na kankshati nirdvandvo hi mahabaho sukham bandhat pramachyate. This is the definition of a sannyasi. Who is that sannyasi? Who is the real sannyasi? Krishna is telling. And a sannyasi can thus be defined, O mighty armed one, as he who holds attachments none, for he experiences neither desire. Hari Om. So he says, Krishna is saying a real sannyasi is the one who is having no attachments, for he experiences neither desire nor dislike. He is not having that dwesh also, na dveshti, na kankshati. Detachedly, he considers both to be alike. This dwandva is what he is talking about. Is Krishna talking about the appearance of the sannyasi? Anybody, is there in the definition, is there an outer appearance that Krishna is describing to describe sannyasi? He must have a 25 centimeter beard. Yes, Renuji. Yes, ji. What is Krishna?
No,
Yeah.
no, no. It's not talking about speaking about the outer appearance or the attire of a sannyasi. That is the bhava, the
Okay.
attitude, the inner, what can I say, how he
Yeah.
executes himself in the outer world.
Okay. So now dvandva, na, nirdvandva is what he's saying. He's not having dvesha also, na kankshati also. Yes, Anjali ji is saying something. Yes, ji. Yes, ma'am.
जो सत्य की खोज करे वो सन्यासी anybody
Acha.
who such is the truth is
But
sannyasi.
but many people go in the search of Satya without, giving up their dvandva, without desires, giving up desires, still holding on. Can we call them sannyasi though? Anjali ji.
No sir, no.
No, they have to give up this, no, desires and attachments. That is a
Yes.
sannyasi. But outer appearance, does it have to be like this?
No, it is not
That
necessary.
he should, no, he need not wear this particular robe. But that does not mean somebody who wears the robe is not a sannyasi, isn't it? The one who is making that dvandva is the sannyasi, who is having his own divisions and attachments. I desire this, I want this, whatever reason it may be. That is not the real sannyas. So yes, all right, Anjali. Thank you. Hari Om. That's what Krishna is talking, and Sri Aurobindo also described. It is very difficult, he said, to identify the Janaka. A Janaka is a sannyasi only, isn't it? A Raja who is a sannyasi. So many such examples we've had. And he says there's no token or outward garb of a sannyas which is visible in Janaka. And in sometimes even Narada can get confused in identifying who the sannyasi is on the outside, because it's such an internal and personal thing. But the simplest indicator, if we want to look at a sannyasi, is when the dvandva is disappeared. When the dvandva has disappeared, what we can say the division, he is not dividing mine, yours, my view, yours, your view, my desires, my aspirations, and no dvesha, no hatred. But one question comes to mind, shouldn't we hate the wrong? Shouldn't we hate the wrongdoer? Anybody?
This last time we discussed about it. We cannot hate a person.
Hmm.
The
Okay.
deeds, we look into the deeds. If somebody is cheating, that cheating part is to be taken into consideration, and we can pray for that, pray for his relief of that bad part in that person.
No, but now if you look at a soldier in the on the war field, shouldn't he hate the enemy?
We
Or
cannot
can he
hate,
function?
we cannot
Okay.
hate the enemy.
But why? Why? Because hatred comes sometimes naturally to so many people. Why this person cheated me? I don't like him. I hate him. Or this person has wronged me. I hate this person. This person always wants to trouble me in the office. I hate this person. This happens naturally, isn't it, to many of us for
Yes,
various reasons?
yes, it does happen. Again, that story of Rishi Valmiki. He was a dacoit, but
Yeah.
when he gained that knowledge, he got transformed. Now we are loving that person. So now the
Okay.
question arises: the person is the same person, but what happened to his being?
Okay. All right. All right. So this is beautiful. Means you mean to say anybody can get transformed. So that aspect, the divine can transform even the worst. So that is one, what we can say, a sakaratmak or an optimistic view, isn't it, about everybody?
Yes,
That might probably teach us to not hate someone. Yes, but does that make it, should we tolerate the wrong of a person and suffer who is doing wrong to you?
no, we should not suffer.
We should not suffer, isn't it? That's also a wrong aspect. So it's a very thin line, isn't it, Renuji? But I
Yes,
think
yes,
you gave a very beautiful point. Yes, that transformation is possible for anybody. The worst. So our job is not to transform. We have not taken the onus of transforming or guruship of the world or anybody in person. Except first we can transform ourselves. Our 90% work is complete. So, but the divine can transform. As Sri Aurobindo says, all is possible when the God touch is there. Or we can, as we saw in the Bhagwad Gita also, how knowledge can transform. So, all right. But the one who is wrong, who is troubling you, well, protect yourself, but don't hate, because the poison of hate will corrupt the hater only, the bearer. We're all not like Shiva that we can hold poison in our throats and still be immune to it. He had done great tapasya, and he himself is, that is why we worship him. We too must learn to not hate. If we can learn to be like him, that is also brilliant. Keep that poison inside, but do not allow it to affect you. But hatred is one big challenge for no reason, even the wrongdoer. Sant Jnaneshwar, who was called Mother or Mauli, he had talked about it. Duritanche timirazau, the wrongdoers. Let the timir or the andhakar or the ignorance disappear. That is what Krishna talks about. He goes on further. He has described sannyasi as one who is not having dwesha, not having akanksha, who is not having attachments, no dwanda. So then slowly, like realizing even that philosophy is not mine. All right, I recognize it. I don't have to subscribe to a philosophy of somebody else which does not conform or which does not relate to me. It's all right. What I understand, what I experience, what I perceive may be different. But that person has a right also, isn't it? To have a different opinion. We cannot impose our opinions. So this dwandva is something which we have to recognize and then move on. Otherwise, that hate, no matter what people justify hate, I have to hate these people, these wrongdoers, then only they will change. Is there anybody in the world that has been changed by hate? By hating? These group of people are on the wrong path. Let's hate them and show them we are more powerful. Has anybody been able to change individual level or a collective level? Anybody by hatred?
no,
Anybody?
no, not
No,
at all.
isn't it?
No.
New sanskars are created, new actions, new reactions. The one who hates looks for revenge. It's a very vicious cycle. So let us go on. That's one thing which is an important principle. Krishna goes on. He says, Sankhya yoga prithak balaha pravadanti na panditaha ekamapyasthitaha samyak ubhayor vindate phalam. It is the children naive who thus consider and think that renunciation and liberated actions are contrasting. For the wise can successfully operate with both in sync, and the results of such actions are everlasting. So Krishna says, it is the naive children, prathak balaha, these children who have not yet matured or who have not understood. They think this way that renunciation and liberated actions are contrasting. So indirectly, Krishna is pulling Arjuna's leg on you or teasing him, saying, see, what kind of thought is this? That renunciation is different and liberated action are different. No, the wise can operate both with both in sync. And such actions, they have long-lasting effects. They have everlasting effects. Means a sannyasi's action will have a great action, great effect, a transcendental effect. Anybody knows of any sannyasi starting an organization which is extremely functional and going on, which becomes a symbol for many people to understand organizational behavior and management? Anybody? Any action of a sannyasi? Have we heard of a sannyasi even starting an organization anywhere? Sannyasis only go to the jungles. They're not supposed to do any other work in the material. Yes, anybody?
Ramakrishna Paramahansa and Swami
Ah,
Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda was a sannyasi, and his
yeah,
guru,
yeah,
Vivekananda,
absolutely.
started this mission of this organization.
Yes,
Of-
yes, and yes, Renuji, and generally when they say, the organization must be started with a successor, plan of successor, identify successors, do the scouting, searching, something like that, so that it goes on. But now, Ramakrishna mission, who is the successor? Was it planned? Did Ramakrishna decide, Chalo, I am starting an organization in my name, and then I appoint Swami Vivekananda as a successor?
No.
Not at all, isn't it?
No.
Swami Vivekananda did it as a duty for the world, for Loka Sangraha, and he named that mission after his guru who had given him direction.
Yes.
Right now, both. Yes, please go on. Yes, Renuji?
I was just telling, in his honor, he named the mission.
Yeah, he named a mission in his honor, isn't it? And what happened now? What is happening right now? Are they around? Well, very much in spirit. And youngsters are coming from across the world from various disciplines, scientists, researchers, scholars, and different people are coming together, and still the mission continues because it is connected. And when the mission is connected with the divine, it will have a continuous action. Yavat Chandra Divakaro, as it is said, as long as the sun and moon are there, or as Yagna Suryena Chakshu, as long as the fire burns in the eye of the sun, certain works will go on. Our Sanatan Dharma is also what we can say one dharohar, one dhara which is flowing from the ancient times. Nobody will be able to break that because it is connected with that divine consciousness. So actions, when you are connecting with the divine, they will not have what we can say the negative consequences. So it has to be pure, it has to be connected with the divine. Otherwise, it will again have all the Karmabandhanas. Let us continue. Krishna goes on. He says, Yat Sankhyahi Prapyate Sthanam Tadyogairapi Gamyate Ekam Sankyam Cha Yogam Cha Yaha Pashyati Saha Pashyati. Krishna says this. We will hear this again and again. Yaha Pashyati Saha Pashyati. He who sees, he sees. What does that mean anyway? Logically, he who sees, he sees. Yaha Pashyati Saha Pashyati. Can anybody, is it a riddle that Krishna is putting? What do you think could be the meaning? Somebody who sees, he sees. This seeing, what is this? Anyone?
Recognizing.
Yes, recognizing, or who is understanding, because many people have eyes, but yet their even vision is there, but they still cannot see. I have a friend who cannot see, but she's a wonderful journalist, and yet she can see so many things which people don't see. So the eye of knowledge, with that, when you can perceive, otherwise, divine can stand in front of us and still he will remain invisible to us because our eyes are not open. We are trapped in our own attachments. So here Krishna says beautifully, he says this, he says, Yat Sankhya Prapyate Sthanam. The great Sankhyas, we have beautiful Sankhya Karika is there describing the entire way of Sankhya Yoga. Well, what is this high sthan or the exalted status that a Sankhya yogi is receiving? Krishna says, by renunciation, what that status is one, the same can be attained by a divine union in works. For both renunciation and liberated actions are one. He who can thus see, he truly sees. This is very interesting. Many times we have felt, isn't it, as a grahastha or somebody who is living in a what we call material world, I am much more inferior to those divine people or the divine beings. Has anybody ever felt like that? You look at them, these the great ones, they have done such tapasyas. I have not done that. I have so many limitations in my material life. I cannot go to that state. Has anybody ever felt that? Anybody? They are too pure and too, I cannot reach that state. Has anybody ever felt that?
Yes, sir. I have felt it.
Okay, Manisha ji, thank you for sharing honestly. Yes, I too have felt, these yogis, look at them, look at the aura, look at the teja, look at all of them, where they are and where am I, how will I ever reach that place? That feeling does come. And it is a sign of humility also. It's not wrong, we can say. But Krishna is here to throw that doubt away also, because he says the potential is there for all. And just the great tapasyas done in that state of renunciation, even somebody who is in a grihastha state can also reach that, provided they have done the Krishnarpanam or Swaha or an offering to the divine. If they have overcome their attachment, they are practicing real sannyasa when they are in life also. That is possible, is what Krishna is saying. Anybody has heard of this Vyadha Gita? Yes. Anything about this Gita? Have you heard of one? Like there are so many Gitas, isn't it? There's Ashtavakra Gita, there's Anu Gita, there's Yama Gita, like that. There's one more called Vyatha Gita. The Gita taught by the butcher. Anybody? Well, that's an interesting story. Yes, okay, so nobody has seen that. All right, then there was a great yogi who was doing great tapasya in the jungles. With his tapobala, he had attained certain siddhis also. With his drushti, with tratak, he could make birds burn also. Like there were a couple of birds that were making a lot of disturbance and sound while this yogi was doing tapasya. So he stared at them, and immediately they caught fire. So after his whatever sadhana dhyana which he was doing in the jungle, all the yogis would go to the from the jungle they would retreat to the village or to whichever town which was there on the outskirts. They would go there and ask bhiksha, Om Bhavati Bhikshan Dehi. So this yogi goes. He does appear to be a little bit fiery. So he goes to a household and he waits outside of the household and calls out loud, Om Bhavati Bhikshan Dehi. So there is this Grihini inside. She is there. She hears his voice. She says, Yes, wait, I'll come. I will come. So she just rushes in to give the bhiksha. That time her husband is just entered. And she immediately says, Just hold on. And she starts serving her husband first. This sannyasi is waiting outside. Now he is, time is ticking and he is now getting irritated. Again, he loudly says, Oh, Bhavati Vikshan Dehi. This time in his voice, he has made his irritation also very clear. Suddenly, the Grihini says, Wait, I'm coming. I'm just doing my duty only. I'm not those birds that you can burn like that. I'm doing my duty. I will come. Now, here, biggest surprise comes into it. How did this Gruhini go into my tapasya? How? I have done such great tapasya, such ghor sadhana, maybe even the great, some must have understood certain mantras and the tantric aspects of it, all of it. I am so powerful. And how did she enter into my sadhana or understand what I have done? He's shocked and surprised. And then he asks her, Please tell me, how did you know this? He says, No, it is my Guru's grace. My Guru has taught me. He's still surprised and curious. I want to see your Guru. I don't know if he will see everybody, but okay. She gives the direction. This is the place. He thanks her sincerely and then starts going in search of that Guru. That search leads him to what we call a butcher. Here he is now frustrated. What? Butcher? Butcher is her guru? What is this? And he decides to give Gyan to the butcher only. He tries to say this, what karma you are doing is wrong and all of that. And that is where he gets the realization, because the butcher is another avatar of the Narayan only. And he wanted to break this dwanda of hatred inside of this yogi. And until that hatred is broken, the next step of realization will not take place. And that knowledge which was passed on, that is the Vyadha Gita, the Gita knowledge given by the butcher. So here, what we understand from this, at the principle from the Shloka number 12, or no, Shloka number 5, is that each one of us, we do not have to consider ourselves inferior. We have to take the aspiration. Highest aspiration must be there, as like my teacher also says, low aim is crime. You should not have the low aim. Always aspire for the highest. That is something we should not forget, but never feel that we are not capable, because Krishna says, with the divine grace, all can be capable. All is possible when the God touch is there. The words of Sri Aurobindo. Let us continue. Sanyasastu mahabaho dukkhamaptum mayogatah yoga yukto munir brahma nachirena dhigachati. It is difficult to achieve the state of renunciation without uniting with the divine in every action. For the wise sage who has attained this togetherness, the knowledge of Brahma, he can soon unearth and harness. That wise yogi who has become one. He is united with the divine in every action, and Krishna says you cannot attain that state of renunciation without becoming one with the divine. It is like I wanted to play badminton. I wanted to be a badminton player. But somewhere in my second year of the college, I decided, chalo, I don't want to play anymore. I have taken a different path. So when I went to my father and told him that, he asked a very nice question. He said, what, you have retired before your career has started? It was a very right question, isn't it? Who can retire? Only somebody who who's having a career, isn't it? Anybody? Can you retire without having a career?
No.
Certainly. No, isn't it? It's so simple and straightforward, isn't it? It's like that. Without performing action, you cannot say, I have renounced. It's raining. Your friend comes and says, I didn't get wet in the rain. Luckily, I managed. I was having a raincoat. You have never left the house. You cannot say, I also didn't get wet, because you never went out. So this aspect, renunciation and liberated action, meaning tyaga bhava while doing your actions in life. Life creates situations where we have to do this. And when we do it properly, those actions are actually divine actions. We have to recognize them and then make it a part of our everyday life also. Krishna says here, he says, yoga yukto vishuddhatma vijitatma jitendriyaha sarvabhutatma bhutatma kurvannapi na lipyate. That purest soul who in yoga engages, having gained victory over his six senses, in whose self the realization of every being is found, his actions are liberated. By works he is not bound. So the one who is engaging in this yoga means union. Union with what? Union with the divine. So at all times and all moments, that Shuddhatma, that pure soul who has understood the need to unite. It's very difficult. Many people live and die in the world of desires only. They cannot think beyond the Indriyas. But here, this person, he is a Jitendra, Vijitatma, who is one over the pool. He is a champion, actually the exalted champion. We call winners of certain sports champions. But yes, that is true. They have beaten a lot of people. But the real champion is the one who has overcome these pulls of the Indriyas and is that contented self, in whose self the realization of every being is found. This person is a Vishwamitra, like the Rishi only, a friend of the world. He is able to understand even the opposite perspectives. He is able to understand, yes, Karya Karana Bhava. Both of that. Why is this happening? Cause, effect, he's able to understand. And he's one. His actions are liberated. For by work he is not bound. So new sanskaras are not created. He is not trapped in Karmabandhana. His actions are going on. And Krishna goes on. He says, such a person, he's not doing anything, but he's doing a lot of things also. Naiva kinchit karomi iti yukto manyate tattvavit Pashyan Shrinvan Sprishan Jigran Ashnan Gachan Swapan Swasan. The knower of the true principles of all existences, of all existence, knows that he is not the cause of his subsistence. Somebody who recognizes Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam, all that is belongs to the divine, that realization, somebody who has, he says, I am not the cause of my own existence. Nor is he performing the acts of seeing, hearing, touching, or smelling, nor the acts of eating, moving, sleeping, or even breathing. We are all breathing, isn't it? What is Krishna implying here? Are we breathing? Yes or no?
Yes, we are breathing.
But are you conscious or breathing is happening, Manisha ji?
Could you please repeat the question?
Yeah, the question is, are you breathing or breathing is happening on its own?
I am breathing and also happening on its own, both. I mean,
Yes.
that's what
Yes, isn't it? It is happening. Means if you look at it, yes. So it's a part of me, but so many things happen involuntary, isn't it? Hearing.
yes.
I want to listen, but my indriyas are functioning on their own, or am I ordering them to
No,
function?
it's
No,
happening on
isn't it?
their own. It's
Yeah,
happening on
yeah.
their own.
Yes, the heart that is beating. All of these, you see, all these kriyas are defining us. But you remove one of these kriyas, our life existence may disappear. But can we say I am my eyes, I am my ears, I am my nose, I am my mouth? Or these are all parts of me. They're all parts, isn't it? These are all different parts that we identify with. Yes, Manisha ji?
Yes, sir. But when these all actions are happening automatically without me having to put any extra effort or not doing the actions voluntarily in a voluntary manner, but when we are walking or eating, that is when we feel we are doing it. So
Yeah.
how to what Sri Krishna is telling in this shloka is you are actually not doing it is what you have to realize. But what we do is breathing and seeing is okay, but when we are doing some action like walking or eating, that is when it's difficult for us to believe that we are not doing it.
Yes, yes. It
So
is
that is the
difficult because
challenge.
we have a greater control over it, isn't it? So wherever we have control, we feel we are the Rajas.
Yes. So that is the challenge. That is what we need to realize, that we are not walking or we are not eating.
But even
Um,
if we are doing the outer act of eating, are we doing digestion?
no.
No, isn't it? So we have to become conscious. Now, even seeing
Yeah.
also, sometimes, array, it was in front of me, I did not see it. What happens then? It's again, we are unconscious, isn't it? If we
Correct.
can relate it to consciousness. Means yogis are conscious that they even, regulate their breathing.
Yes.
They are
Correct.
conscious, their ears, what they hear. Bhadram karnebhir shrunyam devaha, bhadram pashima jatraha. It's something like that. Bhadram pakshimaksha virya jatraha sthirai rangai srushtuvan swassanubhihi vyashema deva hitam yada yuhu. These are all given to me. These are all instruments which I will use for the betterment of the divine will. If that is the real aspiration, we become conscious. But otherwise, I am, this is my, under my adhipatya, I am the owner, I am the landlord, I am in charge. That feeling comes in. Anjali ji is saying something? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, actually, means we are not aware during our action. Whatever
Yeah.
we do, we are not aware of it. We are
Ji.
simply doing everything mechanically,
Ha, ha.
and we are not very much we are not at all conscious.
We're not conscious. And we take it for granted, isn't it? I'm doing all of it. So I am this. I am this. But it is not. The beautiful Kavali also says, तूने क्या बनाई, तूने क्या सजाई, सब किया है तो उसने, तूने बातें बनाई. You have made up this. Ahankar is there, which is striving. So we have to recognize that, but it does not happen. And many times that is what keeps us trapped. Young Adi Shankaracharya was asked this question, who are you? And he says, Mano buddhya hankara chittani naham na cha shrotra jihve na cha ghrana netre na cha vyoma bhume na tejo na vayu chidananda rupaha shivoham shivoham. He says, I am that consciousness of bliss. Shiva is I and I am Shiva. I am one with that divine. This is Yoga Yukta, isn't it? He is talking about becoming one. When you recognize that, you're able to actually experience a heightened consciousness, then these instruments function better. But if you assign yourself only to a particular aspect, say, my eyes, I'm taking a lot of pride in my eyes. Tomorrow, if I stop seeing, what's going to happen? My source of pride will disappear, isn't it? My attachment it will be like I'm gone. But does that mean if I lose my eyesight, I cease to remain as an individual? Anybody? If for some reason I lose my eyesight, will I cease to remain an individual I am?
No, you will still be there.
I'll still be that, isn't it? Yes. And I have friends who are not having eyesight, but they are brilliant individuals. We cannot associate one, oh, this person is like this. And sometimes, oh, blind people, I don't talk to this type of people. So each of our indriyas, tomorrow, like once it was very interesting, I lost my voice. So it was like Krishna pressed the mute button. I had to understand that, chalo, I am speaking, I have to control my words, how much words I am speaking, the value of the words, I have to become conscious how I'm using those words. Because we cannot take anything for granted. These are all indriyas that are functioning, and we did not do something extra special to receive them. They are part of our prakriti. We have to understand them. We have to become conscious. That's what Krishna says. He goes on in the next shloka. He says, Pralapan Visrajan Ghrnan Unmishan Nimishan Napi Indriyani Indriyakheshu Vartanta iti dharayan. Neither in the physical acts of speaking or adjusting, nor in the involuntary acts of the eyes opening or closing. For he knows that in these actions, it isn't he who is acting, and understands that his senses are but merely reacting. What is happening? The senses are reacting. The indriyas, something is hot, I'll touch it and immediately withdraw. What is it? It is a reaction. Whether it's the voluntary action or it's an involuntary action, all are the interactions. That is why this person doesn't take credit. He says, yes, I am a conscious being. These are all my different instruments. I'm using them and they are responding. But I am something more. Because when you attach yourself to the outside, then it's the problem. I am so powerful. I am so strong. Then what happens after 40 years, 50 years? I will not remain that strong because that is the nature of life. But if I attach myself to that outer strength only, then I feel I'm useless. But no, it is not the case. Strength is something which is different, not physical brute strength only. But that is not understood. Krishna goes on, but the yogi understands because he's one with the consciousness. ब्रह्मण्याधाय कर्माणि संगम त्यक्त्वा करोति यः लिप्यते न स पापेन padma patram nivambhasa. Krishna gives a beautiful example of the padma patra or the lotus leaf. Anybody has seen a lotus leaf? Anyone? If you can just tell me something unique about the lotus leaf. Anyone? Krishna has given it as a simile. So if we can understand the uniqueness, it will be beautiful. Yes, Dr.
Yeah.
Swarupaji.
It stays in the water, but it doesn't allow the water to touch it.
But it is in water only, isn't it, Ji?
Yeah, but it doesn't allow to be affected by the water.
Means when water drops you put onto the lotus leaf, they appear like pearls, isn't it? You must have seen it sometime, Dr. Swarupaji?
Yes, yes, of course.
Yes, isn't it? They look like pearls so beautifully. They look like it's like water. It's in water, but it's not getting wet. The leaf remains that way. The water does not cling on to the surface. And Krishna gives that example. That is the yogi. This is not somebody who's never entering the water. He's there in the water only all the time, but not getting wet. How beautiful is that? Let us see. Krishna says, one who consecrates to the Brahman his every action and performs them in a state of renunciation. No sin can ever pollute his immaculate belief, just as the droplets of water cling not to a lotus leaf. For one who has done the consecration of the action to the Brahman, Brahmarpanam Brahmavir Brahmagno Brahmanahutam Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam Brahma Karma. The karma is also going towards Brahma. The actions are also becoming divine. And when they are going in that direction, nothing will cling on. No Karmabandhana. He goes on further. Kayena manasa buddhya कैवलैरिन्द्रियैरपि योगिनः कर्म कुर्वन्ति sangam त्यक्त्वा आत्मशुद्धये. By their bodies, mind, intellect, or senses they function, and consider not any of them as their own. For to them, a perfect detachment is known, and so they engage in the process of self-purification. This is what they are doing, the Atma Shuddhi. They are raising their consciousness. They have found something. Ki, chalo, this is the consciousness I have to reach. This is the consciousness that I have to raise myself. That is the purpose of my birth. I have realized that is the state of a yogi. And so all his actions, he's using his mind, he's using his intellect, he's using his body, he's using his senses, all of them to one direction. So every action he's doing, we can say this is one swartha, which is wonderful. One ahankar, which is okay. Which is that? Aham Brahmasmi. That Amritasya Putra Vayam. We are the children of that immortal consciousness. So we have to try to realize that that aspiration is a right aspiration. We will later on understand that one dharma, which is one desire which is not wrong, is to uphold your dharma or to what is your greatest dharma? Outer dharma, yes, but inner swadharma is there. So your duty towards yourself, and there's no higher than that, no duty higher than that. And they understand it, so every action is being used for that purpose. They are progressing, evolving. They feel this time on earth is so sparse, so I have to utilize every moment to the most. Krishna goes on. Yuktah karma phalam tyaktva shantimapnoti naishtikim ayuktah kamakarena phale sakto nibadhyate. By giving up all desires for the outcomes of actions, the zenith of peace a soul can attain certainly. Just Krishna is telling Arjuna, give up all these desires for outcomes of actions, not the action. Don't give up the action. You have been put in the flux of activity for a purpose. Even if you don't recognize the purpose right now, you can't just renounce the actions. But he says, give up the outcomes of the actions. Why? Then you will be at peace, whether you are doing a favorable action or an unfavorable action, because you have connected with what? With the divine. There are perks, isn't it, of connecting with the divine? Anybody? Are there perks of connecting with the divine in everyday life? Yes. Are there? Why should we connect with the divine, or what happens when we connect with the divine? Because Krishna is saying actions will not stop. Their actions will continue. Anybody, if you want to imagine or visualize, what do you think would be the perks of connecting with the divine?
Sense of peace, bliss.
Sense of peace, bliss, and what would be the nature of the action, sir? Dr. Atulji? Say, as a doctor, now as a doctor, if you connect with the divine while treating a patient, what would you say?
No, could you please repeat the question?
Yes, sir. Means now, we're talking about Yoga Yukta, this Muni Brahma, they have become one with the divine. So now, now one is peace, the aspect of peace. But many times, what happens in search of peace, people leave the actions because, like Arjuna said, Yat kim karmani ghore mam. So this ghor karma. So I think you have such a, we can say, illustrious and a big career as in the medical profession. So you can understand, the nuances of the medical profession. But what do you think for a doctor, sir, would be the perks of connecting with the divine while we are because we are looking at a practical aspect? Yes, sir.
When he understands that he is not the doer of whatever he's doing,
Ji, sir.
then probably he'll be at peace, because whatever actions he does, irrespective of the outcome, he
Ha.
knows that he's not the doer. Like
So it would,
I no, the phrase is "I treat, he cures." This
Acha,
is
wow,
not
beautiful. Aha, yes, yes. This is so nice. I treat, he cures.
yes.
Okay. This is where is this phrase from? Have you made this phrase or how is it, sir?
No, I
Dr.
have not
Atul?
made it. I
You've
was
heard it?
visiting my physician, the doctor who takes care of me. He
Acha,
had
he said that.
he had displayed it on a signboard in his
Oh,
office.
oh, beautiful. So that's how beautiful, isn't
Yes,
it? It is said, Aushadhi Janavi Toyam, Vaidyo
yes,
Narayano Hari.
yes, yes,
Jahnavi is like the Aushadhi is like the mother Ganga, the Ganga
yes,
Maya or the river. It is like that. And who is that
yes,
Vaidya? Who has understood the value of the Aushadhi? That Vaidya is equal to Narayan. Or there
yes,
is a beautiful mantra. Ayam me hasto Bhagavan. Ayam me Bhagavat Taraha. Ayam me Vishwa Bheshajo. Ayam Shivabhimarshana. Means this my hand is auspicious. This my other hand is more auspicious. Why? Because I am a Vishwa Bheshajo, because this can cure all the problems, all the illnesses of the world. And then the last part is the important part. Why? I am Shiva Abhimarshanaha, because these hands are worshipping the divine. That is why they are beautiful, or in a beautiful one-line word, I treat, he cures. Beautifully said, Dr. Atulji. Thank you, sir, for that sharing. So, Dr. Swarupaji was adding something, and so was Dr. Chaitanyaji. You were saying something? Please,
No, I
yes.
wanted to say the same thing.
Okay. All right, Dr. Swarupaji. I think you're from the same profession, so you could relate with Dr. Atulji. Yes, Chaitanyaji, you were saying something?
Yeah, I was just going to say that you get the right direction. I mean, you don't
Ah,
go in. I mean, if you are connected, you don't go astray. So that is
yes.
maybe the, yeah,
So this can occur in any profession, isn't it?
correct.
Even a programmer, if he's coding, if he gets divine connection, he'll probably quickly identify the what we can say bugs in the
Yep.
program
I
also,
hope
isn't
I
it?
get less bugs later.
Oh, I didn't know that it was your profession,
Yes,
Chaitanji.
yes. I'm a developer.
Okay. Okay, great. So I think you will be able to suddenly probably identify that's something which can be practiced, probably.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, sir. All right, so that's wonderful. Ji. So let us continue. So Krishna says this, and the beautiful aspect is in this, the Shanti comes in. Because consequences are not mine also. When I am saying the work is the divine, who should be worried about the divine consequences? Well, the one who is doing the work. My job is the duty. My duty is to do what I have to do. I am the laborer, I'll have to do the labor. Who is the organizer? He has to worry about everything. I will focus on my kshetra and do my work right. Remaining consequences are the divine's headache because the divine is doing. Well, there is something which happens if you are able to do that. But not everybody. They feel, I am like this. See, my biceps are so big, my triceps are so much, or I am so intelligent, or I am so beautiful, or I am so pretty, and all these thoughts. I am so great, I am so intelligent. Everything just overcomes a person, and that desires are they're trapped in that because they live in that consciousness. They're not able to offer to the divine. What happens then? Krishna says, but those bound by desires of actions live uncertainly, obsessed with phantom fruits and their material attractions. They are trapped in that Maya only, running after phantom fruits, fruits which are actually not in existence also. They run after that and in their material attractions. The problem is the uncertainty is always there. Always doubts, uncertainty keep filling their mind because they are not at peace. Let us continue. Sarva karmani manasa sanyasaste sukham vashi navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvan nakarayan. Possessing self-control with perfection, with poise, he dwells in nature with satisfaction. Within the nine gates of the physical body, he resides Neither in being the doer nor in the cause he prides. So this person has a control over what? Over his self. The body is called a temple of 9 gates. All Navadwaras are closed. They are sealed because this person has controlled himself. Why is the body called temple of 9 gates? Because inside of the body is the divine. Prana, Shariram, Gruham. Yes, Sindhuji. Yes, please. Please, Ji. You were going to tell me? You were going to share about the 9 gates? Yes, please. Hariom.
Hariam, sir. It's
Yes, Ji.
Navadvara. Sir.
Sorry, Ji?
They say it's Navadvara.
Yeah. Why is that? Any reason and why they call it Navadvara?
I don't know exactly, sir.
We have 9 openings, isn't it? In our
Okay,
body. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9. The 9 openings are there. That is why the body is called a temple of 9 gates. And why do we have to keep them closed? Because Krishna's one more name is Ranchod, isn't it? He runs away. So we do not want to let the divine leave. Let the divine remain inside. Let him experience. That is what Krishna is talking about here. He says they have great self-control. They are not losing the balance. Many times, the greatest indication of a person's yoga sadhana is the balance or the samatha. In difficult moments, also, if the person is able to maintain. Chaitanya ji is adding something? Yes, sir. Is it? Yes, Chaitanya ji? Hari Om. I guess not, maybe. All right. I'm not able to see the screen, so I cannot say. I just, when somebody unmutes, I think you're speaking. So anyway, let us continue. So Krishna says this, that within the 9 gates of the physical body, he resides, neither in being the doer nor in the cause. He prides. He doesn't take credit for everything, that I am the doer, I am the alpha, I am the starter, I am making everything. No, he doesn't take that. That false pride does not come into him. Krishna goes on, na kartrutvam, na karmani, lokasya srijati prabhu, na karma phala sanyogam, swabhavastu pravartate. The Lord of all living beings, the Creator Supreme, created not works nor their ownership in the mortal realm. The feeling of doing works and the fruit-seeking desire. It was only nature who thus did conspire. So Krishna says about this, the Supreme Prabhu, the Lord of all living beings. He says he did not create this ahankar or this ownership or this feeling that I am doing the work or this desire to go after the fruits of actions. This is something which is ingrained in Prakriti. So it is the role of Prakriti is what Krishna is saying. He goes on further. Na datte kasyachit papam na chaiva sukrutam vibhuhu ajnane na pratam jnanam tena mudyanti jantavaha. The Omniscient One, God of all subjects, man's sins or virtues, he neither accepts nor rejects. Over knowledge, a cloak of ignorance is spread, and that is why living creatures are thus misled. Krishna says, there's one Paramatma, the Purushottama, or the Supreme Purusha, whichever name you are calling it. He has not created all of this, we can say this game of virtue and this Papa, Punya. That is beautiful. If you just study this, these set of shlokas can become more beautiful when we study the Atma Shatakam of Adi Shankaracharya. There's one more beautiful verse. Na punyam, na papam, na saukyam, na dukkham, na mantro, na tirtham, na veda, na yajnam, chidananda rupa, shivoham, shivoham. That one consciousness, at that state of consciousness, all is one. There is no dwandva, there is no divide at all. But Krishna says, it This ignorance is there. This ignorance is covering the knowledge. That is why we get trapped most of the time. What is right, what is wrong, that also we don't understand because of ignorance only. And that's what Krishna is saying. Then it is said there's one papa and there's one punya. Anybody knows that? And if you understand that, that is enough for you to identify everywhere. You will not have to specifically study the Dharma Shastra to understand what papa and punya is. Anybody? We'll stop at that today. One papa, one punya only. Anybody would like to guess? Or it's yes? Yes, please. Anybody? All right. So, okay, fine. I will conclude. It is that any action that is taking you ahead on the spiritual path, that is punya. Any action that is not taking you ahead is papa. It is very simple to actually identify if you really get this aspect. This is not taking me ahead on the spiritual path, then that is wrong. That is something I should not do. It is very easy. But this what is shreyas and what is preyas cannot be understood when we are trapped in desires. And that's why Krishna is probably asking Arjuna to renounce his attachments. So with this, we will be concluding today. Can somebody can give a brief summary? Yes, please. So we can then complete the Shanti mantra. Yes, please. Anything. I think I should probably make the request. Please turn on the video feeds. I think I forgot saying that. यात्रीजन कृपया ध्यान दीजिए अपनी कुर्सी की पेटी बांध लो, something like that in the flights that attendants talk about. I'll have to do that. Yes, please. Anybody, if you can just summarize something, so we'll conclude. This is one requirement that we have. We have to have a small summary and a beginning also. That will complete our session. Anybody, please, something you can recollect from today's session, so we can conclude with a Shanti mantra. Ji. Anyone? I hope my session is not very boring.
Let
Thank
me
you,
try.
Renuji. Yes, ji, thank you very much. Yes, ji.
So the fifth adhyay is just began when Arjuna asks to Lord Krishna that please give me one response. You're asking me to surrender, on the other side you're asking me to do the work. So please tell me one thing, what should I do? So in that response, Lord Krishna says that whatever you do, you should be in the divine union. You should be connected with your higher self within. And then he speaks about Sanyasi. So who is a sannyasi? He defines that one who experiences neither desire nor dislike. He has no attachments of any kind. Like Raja Janaka, who is also a sannyasi, you cannot, by seeing anybody from the outer appearance, you can say that he's a sannyasi. But his course of action, the way he executes himself, that gives you a reflection that he's a sannyasi. Then we came to know about that renunciation and what is the difference between renunciation and the liberation?
Liberated action.
Yes, liberated action. That means that when you are not operating anything, when you're not attached to your senses while doing anything, then both of the they will be in sync, because you are again connected to the divine within you. And a grihastha can also be a sannyasi. For that, you don't need to go to the jungles, because what is The definition of a sannyasi is that one who has control over his six senses, masters his six senses. He can overcome the um, pulls and pushes of the desires. And one should not think oneself to be very inferior, that consider oneself inferior, that I cannot achieve that highest goal. That bhava should not come within oneself. That aspiration should be there. That inspiration should be there, that I can achieve it. One's goal should be the highest goal. Then we came to know about the simile you used for a sannyasi is that like lotus leaves, that even water does not wet it. So being in this material world, a sannyasi resides in this material world, but he's not at all touched with it. वो अपने धुन में है. That feeling of dhun. And what is that? That every action of his is always aimed at reaching the highest consciousness. And that is to be one with the divine. And at last you asked the question, what is that one pap and one punya? How can we identify any action to be a pap or a punya? You gave a very beautiful answer, that any action of yours which helps you to advance on a spiritual path, that action of yours is a punya. That means you are on a right path. And any action of yours which just repels you or brings you back from that spiritual path, that one which does not raise your consciousness, you are pulled back. That action of yours is pap. Thank you, Bhaiya. Hari Om.
Beautifully summarized, Renuji. Thank you very much. Indeed, isn't it? So, whether one person, we don't need to study, is this papa, is this punya, is this wrong, is this right? It is simple as that. Many times we get attached also. Now, yogis have different habits also, isn't it? And people try to follow. Like there were some yogis in Maharashtra, there was a saint who would smoke cigarette. There was a particular brand which bhaktas would go and give it to him, and people would correct the ashes. If I'm not mistaken, the name of Bhalchandra Maharaj. But why did they go? Did they go because he was smoking, or it was because it was of the knowledge which they wanted? So this aspect, but whether it is Papa Punya, it's not our job to judge. Are we going to judge this saint as doing Punya or Papa? Well, Gandhiji's son had once come and asked Sri Aurobindo. In his earlier days, Sri Aurobindo would smoke sometimes. Now that does not become a reason for everybody to start smoking, isn't it? So he asked, why are you sticking to smoking? The response was, why are you sticking to non-smoking? Why are you attaching to non-smoking? So this aspect of punya, papa, this aspect we have to recognize, is this preventing me from advancing on the spiritual path? If it is, you are not going to do any action which is going to prevent that, which is going to create a viyog, a separation of the consciousness. And that is what each person has to, not because somebody did this or not because somebody else has not done this, we should do it. We should recognize, is this taking me ahead on the path? I am doing even a sadhana that you are doing, even the tapasya also. A simha lokan should be done. What is a simha lokan? It is like when a simha walks, he walks a few steps and then turns back to see the distance that he has covered. Something like that, we must introspect. Is my action taking me ahead? That is it. That is what is punya, that is what is papa. As simple as that. And a yogi is connected with the divine, so is able to always, separate what is right and wrong. The viveka is jagrut. So with this, we will stop today, unless somebody wants to share something. Anjali ji wants to add something, and then we'll conclude with the Shanti mantra. Yes, ji. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, actually, I want to say any action we do to satisfy our ego is papa, and anything we surrender to God, and when we surrender, definitely we will definitely do it properly or consciously or thinking that we should try, we will try to do it correctly. So that is punya, and when we to satisfy our ego, that is papa.
Yes. Because why? What happens when you satisfy your spiritual path is going to, it will block your journey, isn't it? you'll get at your ahankar becomes important. When in sadhana, it is about when Vishuddhatma, this Atma Shuddhi is why what people do through sadhana. So the ahankar becomes more and more rarefied to the point of nil also. And that time the person gets the lie of the higher, or what Renuji told, the word dhun. They live in that. Ramta jogi behta pani, koi rok nahi sakta hai. Something like that. So with this, let us conclude with the Shanti Mantra. We'll continue tomorrow. Hari Om. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् हरि ओम तत्सत् कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं जय श्री कृष्ण हरि ओम पुनर्मिलामः सी टुमारो यस
हरे
प्लीज
जय
Hari
श्री
Om.
कृष्ण हरि
जय
ओम
श्री कृष्ण
जय श्री कृष्ण
हरि ओम
हरि हरि ओम
हरि ओम
हरि ओम हरि ओम
Hari Om.